With all the awesome new features in Mario Maker 2, the single one feature that I am most excited about is the multiplayer mode. I mean, just look at it, it looks so fun. But when you dive a little deeper and think a little more about how this will all work, there are some major issues that come up, and I don't know how Nintendo will solve them. I put some thinking into this issue, and I came up with 3 different ways that the multiplayer experience can possibly be broken and ruined for players, and they are dying, doors, and duplicates. So I'll go over all 3 issues, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, so let's begin. First, we'll start with the issue of dying. I recreated a level from the Direct's multiplayer example, and as you already know, when Mario dies, the entire room resets. Every single object's position, except pink coins, is back how it started, and then you start the level again. But we see in here, Luigi has died and comes back through this respawn portal. More on that in a bit. With the boost circle unchanged. This means that for Luigi, there is no room reset after a death. It's even possible that in multiplayer, your screen doesn't even fade, but rather you just respawn after the death animation. This might sound like nothing in this example, but what if we change the boost circle to a blue platform, remove the floor, and made it a tight jump? If the room never resets, then only one player gets only one chance at the jump, and if they miss it, both players are stuck respawning with no platform, and we have an unbeatable level. So you may say, duh, just have the platform respawn a few seconds after it falls. So okay, let's pretend that the platforms respawn. Then how about this setup? Let's say it's a tricky setup that the players aren't able to make through quickly enough on their first try and the entire floor and bombs blow up. So then the players would respawn after dying and be stuck looking at this. Yet another unbeatable level. So now let's move to issue number 2, doors. Doors are actually similar to a player dying in that the entire room respawns, unless some objects were broken or if an item was carried through the door. But what would it look like if a player entered a room like this which had a falling muncher? The first player would dodge it, no problem. But what would it look like for anyone else trying to enter the room? Obviously, we can't start the muncher back at the top when the second player goes into the door. That would be really weird for the first player's perspective. But if the muncher is blocking the door, there's nothing the other players can do. So we don't see any doors in multiplayer footage from the Direct or elsewhere, but we do see a pipe exit right here where Mario is just ahead of Luigi with Toad trailing far enough back. What if this pipe had a muncher that would fall on top of the pipe when the room first loads? This means that even if Luigi made it through somehow, there's no way Toad would make it. And just like with the muncher blocking the door, if Toad enters the pipe with a muncher on top of it, he can't make it through. Now, you might say that this example doesn't really matter because they're at the end of the level, and you would be correct. But what if someone creates a level like this and tags it as a multiplayer versus? It basically just comes down to who can enter the door first, and the other players can't do anything but sit there and wait for the player to beat the level. Or even worse, what if the player dies before finishing the level? Since we know that nothing resets when someone dies, all 4 players would end up stuck here in an unbeatable level, and there isn't even anything to respawn like our hypothetical respawn platform or bombs from before. Now it's time to cover issue number 3, duplicate items. So if you've watched any Mario Maker 2 analysis videos lately, you've probably read about or seen these spawn circle things. They're shown spawning a Yoshi egg, a clown car, and it seems to be the respawn point of a level for when a player dies. There are also these things, apparently, which may just be the spawning circle when it's not generating an item, although that theory might be out the window because in this boss battle, when a clown car spawns, if we check the footage right before that, we don't see that spawning circle anywhere by the axe. Anyways, yeah, so it kind of makes sense, you know, these things spawn items that you might need in order to beat the level. There's an example here of all 4 players with boots, so chances are there's a spawning point for boots. But think about it. How would Nintendo know what items are important for passing a level? It can do that for levels that it makes, of course, but there's no automated way to know what items are needed and which are just extra. It could guess what items seem important, but it could turn out that the required item was just a mushroom or a spring, who knows? And in that case, it's really just up to the creator to responsibly make sure to add each individual item that's needed. Alright, I have to admit, that was pretty ridiculous. I'll give one last example to show that there really is no way for Nintendo to automatically detect which item is needed for a multiplayer level. Take this level that I built. As you can see, a bunch of really useful items spawn on screen and then immediately fall off. With the spawning circle idea, some or all of these would respawn, but would any of them be helpful? No, they would just keep falling off screen and repeating like that. Also, to make it worse, the one thing that you absolutely need in order to clear the level has fallen into this little spike pit, which would make the level impossible to beat since the Goomba is never killed, so it would never respawn back to the top. And on the top part is where it's needed in order to beat the level. With all that said, I still am very excited about the multiplayer mode. I know I just listed a whole bunch of reasons why it might be broken, but I kinda trust Nintendo. They did the checkpoint system really well, and that was something that could have been totally messed up, and I honestly think that I'll just leave this in their hands and let them figure it out, and we'll probably have a pretty darn good experience when the game finally comes out. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I put a lot of time and thought into this, and if you like it, drop a like, and if you want to see future Mario Maker videos of all sorts, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.